Hello, everybody. We are going to get started. It is great to see a group of interested people, a lot of whom have been in a few other meetings we have, most of whom have not. So if you've not been in any of our information sessions or other meetings about this project so far, welcome. This is officially our kickoff webinar for this project to share with interested individuals, artists, organizations who might want to bring their art performance or program to Marcus Garvey Park over the next 2 summers as part of our Culture, Creativity, and Care initiative. During this, everybody will stay muted. However, if you have a question, you're welcome to use the Q&A to put it in. There are a few times throughout the webinar that I'll be looking into the Q&A to see if there are any relevant questions to answer. I'll also be leaving time at the end. I do not expect to take a whole hour just to present the options for how to get involved. So we should have a decent amount of time for Q&A, and any questions that I am not able to answer on this webinar, we will post online along with a recording of much of this webinar that'll be publicly available for people who weren't able to attend today, but would like to be involved in the project. So that was our welcome. I'm going to give you a little bit more information about Harlem Grown and the Mellon Foundation, who is the funder of this project. A little framing specifically around the Culture, Creativity, and Care initiative, what we hope to achieve, and what we hope to fund and attract to Marcus Garvey Park. We are going to go into some details on funding opportunities. We have 2 open calls for programming and art for summer 2023, which is fast approaching. And we also have opened up a request for proposals for projects for 2024, whether they are visual art, performing art, or programming related. And then we will have a brief closing with time specifically for people to be able to ask any questions that weren't answered as part of the presentation. So with that, let's get started. So my name is Charles Marr. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Harlem Grown. Our mission is to inspire youth to lead healthy and ambitious lives through mentorship and hands-on education in urban farming, sustainability, and nutrition. We are at our heart both a child development and a food justice organization. And through our programming, we are not just teaching kids about, healthy food, what goes into your body, and how that creates physical wellness. We also try to grow ingredients and teach recipes that are reflective of the children that we serve and their backgrounds. We honor the histories and cultural significance of those ingredients and recipes that we're teaching that our children recognize. And we're also teaching them about the importance of the historical and indigenous food systems that created those ingredients and recipes that we can learn from as we try to build a sustainable future. And our funding partner on this project is the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. They are a massive supporter of arts and humanities. They believe that humanities and arts are essential to human understanding and human connection. And their project specifically that's funding this is called Humanities in Place, which tries to amplify stories, cultures, and histories in a specific location. And so for this project, the location is Marcus Garvey Park, and the cultures, histories, and stories that we are trying to amplify and celebrate are those of the various Harlem communities. Now, related to that initiative, this specific project, we are going to be centering in Marcus Garvey Park. We are going to be focusing on community care and wellness, both with Harlem Grown's food-based programming, but also with cultural, visual arts, and performing arts programming, all as explorations of community care and both physical and mental wellness. Now, there's lots of ways for other organizations to get involved. Harlem Grown will be bringing our own food programming, and we'll also be partnering with other events and organizations to bring our food programming to other events and build collaborations. However, we also have direct funding opportunities for artists, performers, and organizations, and I've broken them up here by year. So in our first year, summer 2023, we have 2 open calls. We're calling these open calls and not RFPs because we're really asking for finished, polished work. We're not commissioning anything new because of our timeline. This is sort of an exploration year where we're trying to attract and amplify what's already here, show people what's possible, and spark some ideas for projects to go into our request for proposals for 2024. In the next few slides, I'm going to go in a little bit more detail about those open calls and requests for proposals and the associated timelines, who we're looking for, and what that process looks like. But first off, I'll go over very, very briefly what makes somebody eligible. We toyed with the idea of asking if people live in Harlem specifically, but with gentrification and how much movement there is in between the boroughs and the metro area, performers and organizations do not have to be right in Harlem or Marcus Garvey Park, but they should be able to demonstrate a connection to the Harlem communities or to Marcus Garvey Park itself. And we're looking for a broad array of stakeholders. We are looking for individual artists. We're looking for groups of artists, collectives, performing groups. We're looking for organizations who want to put on programming or want funding support for the programming that they're already planning, as well as individuals who would like to put on programming or create art in the park. We're really looking, especially in year 1, for individuals and organizations who have some experience with public engagement and public programming, because funding recipients will be the project managers and leaders of their funded projects. And we are really looking for people who not only have that connection to Harlem, but also share in the initiative themes of community care and wellness. So again, not just traditional physical well-being, also mental health, and that can extend to sort of performing arts and visual arts and cultural programming, storytelling as avenues for increasing community care and wellness. Now, the first open call, which is for visual artists, the easiest way to get involved, is we will be building at least one large art installation and gathering space in each year as part of the initiative. We've partnered with Jerome Hayford of Brant Hayford, who is in the process of finalizing a permit and constructing the art installation for this year. And we are looking to turn that into not just a program space, but an outdoor gallery of rotating artwork from local artists. So if there are any artists on this webinar, or if you know of anybody who might be interested, it doesn't matter what the original medium of the piece of art was. We are going to work with artists who are selected to reproduce a piece of art for display in a format that is about 4 feet by 4 feet. Harlem Grown is going to support with the reproduction, installation, and de-installation of this artwork, which is going to be reproduced on aluminum, so it is going to be safe and protected from the weather outside. However, artists will retain ownership of the original artwork, intellectual property rights, of course, and will have the option to keep their piece when it is finished being displayed. And then, of course, there's compensation, right? Besides us recreating your work, there will also be an honorariate. It's a minimum of $500. It'll go up to about $1,500, depending on whether artists would like to do an activation event to showcase themselves and their art. So it could look anything like an artist giving a talk about their piece and what it means. It could be a workshop where they are showing community members how to create art that's similar to theirs. Maybe it's an event about the history of the type of art that's being displayed. And that'll all be decided once pieces are selected to be displayed. And if people want a little bit of a visual on how those pieces might look, the large Brant Hayford art installation and gathering space, this is a very rough rendering. We did not include a final rendering because it's not fully approved in the final stages by Parks yet, so they didn't want us to share the final designs. But if you see the ring of images on the interior, those are essentially what these pieces of visual art being displayed will look like on the inside. And so these pieces of art that'll be selected, as well as projects that'll be selected through the other open call and the RFP, those will be chosen by selection committee. And we are already taking interest in the selection committees. So if somebody on this call might be interested in helping us choose what art is displayed, you're welcome to go to our website, harlemgrown.org/culture-creativity-care, or you can email ccci@harlemgrown.org. We'll also put that it's in the last slide. I'll also put it in the chat at the very end of this so that everybody can take it and copy and paste if you'd like to email us about that, or if you'd like any more information about your ideas or your specific situation. Now, of course, I imagine people want to know, what information do we need in order to help our selection committees make recommendations on who to fund, on what art to select? There is an application on our website for this. It is through Airtable. There are just a few questions. There is no extremely long answers that are asked for. Information about who is applying. So who are you, or who is your group, including a bio. We'll ask what your connection is to Harlem, as well as the Culture, Creativity, and Care initiative and its goals of exploring wellness and community care through visual or performing art or cultural programming. We'll ask you to submit an image and information regarding the piece that you'd like us to reproduce. And then there are a few questions about your ideas for what you might want to do as a small activation event. So it's that last piece from the open call. It won't be 100% set in stone. We'll have those conversations again with artists whose work is selected, but it is depending on the size and scope of those events that'll determine the final honorarium that artists will receive. And as a reminder, the minimum will be $500.